Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Create Virginia. Create Virginia is a production of the Small Business Development Center, Lynchburg region, and our partners at the Office of Economic Development, Lynchburg, and the Academy Center of the Arts and the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance. The SBDC Lynchburg region is one of 29 SBDCs across Virginia. SBDCs are a program of the United States Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and premier organizations across Virginia. Welcome to us, I guess. We're doing
it.
Yeah. Thank you. And good night, everybody. Let's go out on a high note. I guess we were chosen because we use our voice to make a living.
That's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
So tell people who you are.
Well, I'm Mike McKendree. I'm from The Mike Show on Radio 434 and a whole slew of other radio stations in my past.
Awesome.
And who are you?
And I'm award-winning voice artist, Eli Harris.
Dang it. Why didn't I say award-winning?
Award-winning.
Yeah, why didn't I say that?
Hey, but you just said it.
Well, I am, I guess, but
so now
no.
people know.
Okay, tell me about your awards.
Yeah, so I won for best performance in video games last year.
Which video game?
There's a slew of them that I've done. So
nice.
Superfuse, Strike Force 2, Skyrim. So there's a bunch of games that I did. Yeah. So it's an overall performance.
Yeah. What all do you do as a voice actor? We were talking off camera about the differences between the folks from the radio side of things that would come in to read copy, versus voice actors who do what you do in video games, and I would imagine for commercial production.
Commercial, promo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that is, I guess when people think of voiceover, they think that it's all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So we'll have people that come from, your side, and they find it a bit difficult. Because doing voice acting is different than announcing.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that spectrum, I'll get things sometimes that want me to do announcers.
Sure.
And it's hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't do announcing. So it's entirely different.
Announcing, and I find myself, I do it and I can do it because that was what radio personalities did for the most part. We did our back sells and our intros and our times and temperatures and promoted the things in the contests and be listening for the touch tones, blah 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 blah, and we would then have to read copy like Create Virginia is a production of the Small Business Development Center. We would have to seamlessly intersperse it. It's different than getting pages, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, and so with us, it's character work. Like I do a lot of video games, I do animation, but I also do a lot of commercial.
All right.
And so I have to be able to shift from character to character.
All right.
So 1 minute I'm like, don't come in here, which is different than what you do. So then on the next one is, tonight on CBS. So it's being able to kind of shapeshift in a sense with your voice.
And I've heard your voice on so many different things. It's on the subliminal level at this point, where it's like oh my God, I've heard this guy in so many places.
Yeah, and it's funny because I get that a lot too, and it's like, oh, I heard you, like
we would have there's a brand of voice guy that just reads liners and station imaging and station names and call letters. They're the big voice guy that they're not a disc jockey. They're not a promo, like a commercial guy that
they just do tags and the radio imaging.
That's all you hear. And I would think that they could fall into your category a bit.
So I do tags. Really? So yeah, I do some tags.
Right.
I do some radio.
I need your
imaging.
business card.
So I do stuff for iHeartRadio.
Okay.
I do stuff for Pandora.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do tags as well.
Okay.
Not as much as I would like because I find them to be pretty fascinating, but I do them. And I'm just curious, how did you get into the radio part as far as what made you decide you want to do radio announcing?
I started out as a teenage disc jockey in 1985.
Wow.
I was a senior in high school, and I loved radio from the time I was a little kid. I was 3 years old, and I couldn't fall asleep without the radio on, and I loved it. And I was this little 5-year-old kid that listened to Imus in the Morning and later Howard Stern, and just absolutely positively fell in love with that style, not so much their individual personalities, but that style of broadcast. Johnny Carson was one of my favorites. Yeah. He started in radio and went into television, and that's what I wanted to be. I didn't necessarily just want to be the disc jockey that announced the songs. I wanted to be the personality behind the microphone. I wanted to do this. Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to interview interesting people and talk about really, really cool stuff and be part of really big things.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So how did you get started in the voiceover business?
I started in film and television first. Okay. So my parents got me involved in theater around 6 years old because I have ADHD, so my energy was all over the place.
All right, this has got to be something because I do as well.
Well, it's an outlet. So my parents got me involved in that. Okay. And so I did it in school. Yeah. And then after that, I went on because life happens, you know. Yeah. Then I went into the military, so I'm a veteran. Okay. And then after I got out, I met my wife. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You know, which by the way, I did get a chance to voice the Warrior games for Disney.
Wow.
Which is
nice.
Just like Invictus, but it's about injured veterans and active duty soldiers. Okay. And I got to voice that for the entire week for Disney.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, so then after that, I met my wife who was back here. And and I talked to her and told her, I wanted to get back into the arts because I felt a part of me was missing. Okay. I've always been an animated individual. And so my wife, encouraged me and held the fort down so I could get back into the arts. So I did film and television. I transitioned into voiceover 3 years ago, a little bit over 3 years ago.
All right.
And that fills a totally different void for me. Yeah. As, on screen TV, I get to act and be different people. Sure. Behind the mic, I get to be a totally different entity. Like I'm screaming, yelling, doing crazy character voices, and it's this total outlet. You know, so that's that.
I do the exact same thing, by the way.
Well, you just do these crazy voices. Yeah,
sometimes. Well, I started out in just doing regular disc jockey radio. And had worked my way up through the craft. At some point, I knew that I wanted to be an owner, and I had to transition from the on-air creative side of things to more of the business side of things. How have you found that, or do you have people like, for instance, my wife is very, very helpful with the business side of my business, but I had to learn that. I had to really learn that a lot. Coming up, have you found that to be an easy transition, or
it takes work? Because when I did the on-camera side, my agent handled everything for me for the most part. So there's really no marketing on my part. Okay, voiceover is totally different. Okay. I do have an agency that I'm with Innovative Artists, but I also do a lot on my own. Sure. My wife helps me in a sense when it comes to the budgeting of things because I'm just not that great with it. Yeah. And my wife is like the financial guru.
I am learning, and I've had to learn. And my wife as well. She's very, very good about keeping me on task and keeping me on budget to the point where I actually wanted to buy a vehicle for Radio 434. And I was told, okay, well, if you raise X amount of dollars, additional revenue, then you can get it. So
I think something that would be good for people to understand is just, because you talked about how you got into doing disc jockey and whatnot, the level of difficulty it takes to get into this. Because I have people that will reach out to me a lot and say they want to do voiceover, and they have this misconception that all you do is you get a laptop, a microphone, and record, and that's it.
Yeah, I know.
And they don't understand the amount of work, training, investment that it takes. So, for you to do disc jockey, especially in the early 80s, it's a lot different now than it was then, because now you have the internet and a bunch of other things where it makes things more accessible. Right. How difficult was it for you to get into it in that era?
It was extremely difficult, but it was something that I wanted to do for so long, and I just kept knocking on doors, and I literally I'll tell you a quick story. How much time do we have, by the way? We good?
You're good.
Okay, good. I had been knocking on doors, getting rejection after rejection after rejection, just outside of the Pittsburgh area. And I walked into this one radio station, and this was the most interesting setup to begin with, because the owner of the station's son, who was 19, was the general manager. And I was a senior in high school, and all of his friends worked at the radio station. So it was a very, very young crew. And when I walked in, I'm expecting, that there's going to be a bunch of old dudes, and I'm going to, find some program director. I'm really going to have to give them the song and the dance. And these guys were so cool. And the program director said, well, all right, give me your information. I'll get back to you. And my friend, who became my friend, who was the general manager of the station, came over to me. And at the time I had long hair. And this was the age of metal.
Oh, yeah.
So he comes up to me and he goes, hey, do you like metal? And I really didn't. And I said, sure, yeah. And
he goes along with it.
I was stretching the truth a little bit. There was some metal that I liked. I didn't break it. I bent it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. So I said, yeah, I do. He goes, do you have a big collection? And I went, sure, yeah. And he goes, well, we used to do this show Friday and Saturday nights, the metal show, and the disc jockey quit and he took all the records. If you can bring in your collection, you can start Friday. And
I find that there's always that one situation where the door opens.
Yeah.
Because like for what I do, I got into VO to do gaming and animation.
Okay.
I had no desire really to do commercials or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Ironically, I get a ton of it. To where I became the voice for UFC,
nice.
7-Eleven, Manscaped, do a ton of stuff with Disney, Players TV, ESPN.
What's one of your favorite roles? What's one of your favorite either gigs or roles or companies to work for or represent?
It's neck and neck with Disney because I'm directly connected with them, and if I make it sound like it's easy. It is hard. And I asked you for the reason how hard it was for you, because even though we have more technology and accessibility now, now there are more gatekeepers with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
To where you need agents.
Yeah.
Because of my networking and relationships that I have with people, I've worked my way into, getting certain gigs that normally would take agencies. So I would say Disney. The second one is the game I did called Superfuse.
Nice.
And the reason why that game has so much weight for me is because they allow me to have a say in the character's development for his dialogue.
What about that first gig? What was the first thing that you did that you got paid for?
I did a project for ESPN for the MEAC championship.
Okay.
For the college football.
Okay.
That was the first one that was televised, and I got a decent paycheck for it.
Okay. How did you get that gig?
I went through Studio Center. It was a place called Studio Center.
All right.
And I auditioned for it, and they chose me.
And then from there, it just built and built and built. You had resume builders.
Yes. But also I have to do marketing on my own, which is a part of the business that I don't like. And I have people like Jawanza from Blackwater Branding that manages my website, that handles everything for me on that end. Yeah. So he makes it easier for clients to find me when they search.
The business side of things, and that's one of the things that I'd want to stress to anybody that wants to get into, whether it's voiceovers, whether it's broadcast, any kind of arts that you plan on getting into, you need to come with the mentality that this is a business. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's an outlet, it's creativity, but it's a business. Every single day, you need to be thinking that. And I keep that in the back of my mind even today.
And they also have to be prepared for rejection.
Yeah,
because
a lot
the majority
of
this business is no.
Yeah.
They look for reasons to tell you no. And it's your job to give them an offer they can't refuse.
Yep.
Make them say yes.
Yep.
So like you said, it takes an investment. You have to be prepared to invest money for your business because you are your brand.
Yep. and even equipment. My studio, your studio, we've invested in the proper equipment. We've invested in the imaging of those businesses. I do the marketing side for my business as well. I host my morning show Monday through Friday. From 7 to 10. It's on Radio 434. And then we do a video simulcast on the Mike Show VA on Facebook, which, by the way, has blown up. Over the past couple months, it has really it's grown more than I've ever seen social media grow. And people reached and engaged. And it's just, we have really, really good content. But from there, then like you got to wear a different hat. You got to transition over to the marketing side, the business side, the accountant side, projecting your cash flow, and it's
paying the taxes. Because when you are self-employed and you make the kind of money
I know I forgot something.
It's paying the taxes. And my wife is the one. My wife is the one who will say something to me and like, hey, we need to set up some things to make sure we get the taxes paid, because they will get you on back taxes. So I'm like, okay.
I just had this conversation with a client about. We sold our last FM station in February, and I transitioned over to completely streaming and making a living doing streaming, but bridging cash flow from check to check. And I would imagine in your line that would be, that could be challenging as well.
Well, for one, you have to have a budget and a plan. Mm-hmm. Again, my wife, she helped me become more frugal with the money and smart with the money.
Okay.
So you have ebbs and flows, like I'm sure you do with your side. Some months you have a bang out month. Yep. Then other months it might not be as great.
Right.
So you kind of have to know how to budget and plan for those months where it may be low for you.
Yep. Live for the long term.
Exactly.
Plan for the long term.
The marathon.
If you get a really, really good gig, or you get a really good client and you get a really nice check, don't blow it. Don't spend it. Don't take that and put it into something that you can't touch it. Take that, you could borrow against it and use that to bridge your cash flow. But always know that you are your business. You are your company. Start thinking like a CEO. Start thinking like a corporation. Start thinking like a CFO.
And something I want to touch on with you talking about as far as the clients. Mm-hmm. Treat your clients like their projects matter. Right? We're all in this, of course, to get paid. There's no doubt about that. I love getting paid. I love my money. But I treat my clients like their project matters to me. So any type of post that I put up or anything that I do, I always make sure that I highlight my client first. Then I'm secondary to it, because it makes them feel like that their project matters to you, and that
absolutely
their branding is important to you. And I'll tell you the thing that works for me is that when I do that with clients, the clients will then either retweet, comment, or post on mine and repost it. When you have someone like Icy Hot, who I do a lot of voiceovers for, retweet your comment, now they're validating you.
I saw his ad.
Yeah, now they're validating you.
I use his product.
Does it work good for you?
Oh, it works great.
So treat your clients like they're more than just $1 to you. Like, really care about the project.
They're partners.
How often do you reevaluate your brand to stay relevant?
Constantly. At least we do. We meaning I and some really, really good close folks to me that I trust, my advisors, we're constantly looking at, is this working? Is this not? What could we be doing differently? What could we be doing better? I sucked at social media. I think I still do.
Me too.
And I have had a couple different people. I've had producers. I've had interns. I've hired some folks. And our social media numbers last month went through the roof. And I asked them, what'd you do? And they said, I don't know. We didn't do anything really different. We set it up the way it should be set up. You brought the content. You changed up how you're doing things. And we engaged, like Eli said, our clients, our partners, we engaged them, we tagged them, we thanked them, and they retweeted and reposted and tagged us, and it just worked.
And for me, as far as reevaluating, I would say that stick to what it is that you do. So some people are socialites to where they post on social media all the time, all day, every day.
Influencers.
Yeah, they're influencers. For me, I post according to how my personality is. So I'm not an everyday poster, but I noticed that when I do post, I post content that matters to people, the way that I word things, the way that I say things. I'm constantly reevaluating, and I'm always talking with, my team, well, if it's Jawanza that I'll reach out to, who handles all my website and stuff, and I'll bounce some ideas off of them because sometimes I don't know exactly what to do. So I would say if you're looking to reevaluate, do what works with your personality, because otherwise it won't come off genuine. And believe it or not, people can tell if you're genuine or not. If you start speaking a certain way and you carry yourself differently, you're going to come off as fake, and people aren't really going to buy into it. So you have to evolve, because the business is ever changing as well. Before, there was no home studio. There was no home studio for voiceovers. Everything had to be done in studio. Ever since the pandemic happened, now it's necessary that you have a booth in your house.
Sure.
So you have to constantly evolve, because it's always changing.
In the broadcast realm, in commercial broadcast, before, you had to have an FM radio station or an AM radio station or a TV station to be relevant, to go after commercial advertisers, to go after revenue in that respect. Now with streaming, and this happened probably in 2016 or so, when technology improved so much, the infrastructure of streaming improved so much, the platforms, the phones, the devices, everything was just like this perfect storm to where streaming media outpaced traditional media.
That's crazy too.
At that point. And that was in 2016, and it has just grown by leaps and bounds incrementally. So to the point where in March of this year, my company went all streaming. So all of our stations, all of our channels, all of our video, everything that we do in studio, it's all streamed. We're on no terrestrial or traditional media stations, and we never missed a beat. As far as our advertisers, our partners, everybody stayed with us, and they love the content.
The last thing that I'll say on this is that just bring yourself.
Yeah.
Because the mistake I made when I first came into this is that because people said I sound like James Earl Jones or Keith David, I was emulating them. And I had a colleague of mine tell me, don't do that. They already got James Earl Jones. They already got Keith David. They don't have Eli Harris.
That's right.
Give them Eli. So bring yourself with your marketing. When you reevaluate yourself, bring you, because they don't have you yet.
This is a question from Arthur. It says,
hey, Arthur.
The best way to start voiceover, the best way to get into voiceover?
So the first thing I would say is decide what genre you want to get in, because it's not all the same. If you're looking to do commercials, you're going to approach it differently than you do promo.
Correct.
Or gaming or animation. If you're looking to do e-learning, you don't even need an agent for that. That's something you could do on your own. You just have to find the directories for it. So first I would say decide what genre you want to get in. Secondly, invest in coaching, proper coaching from a reputable coach that knows exactly what they're doing, a coach that can provide, as people say, their receipts. What have you done lately? A good, reputable person can show you, this is what I've done before and am currently doing.
Yep.
A good coach will also write and tailor copy for you that fits you, so you can have a proper demo done. You need to spend money on getting a proper demo done.
Yes, you do.
Do not do a demo yourself, because you don't know what these agents and these corporations are looking for. A good demo producer does. They will know exactly what these agents are looking for. So you want to get a proper demo put together. Then you want to invest in equipment, good, solid equipment that fits your voice type. I use a Neumann TLM 103, and I use a Sennheiser MKH416. That works for my voice type. That might not work for someone else's voice type. So you're going to have to find a mic that works best for your voice type.
Like me.
Like him.
Yeah. And then I use an Electro Voice RE20.
That's what you use?
Yeah, that's what I use.
That works for you.
Oh,
it wouldn't work
it's
for
fantastic.
Me, but that would work for you.
I've been using, that's my favorite microphone. As soon as I heard myself in it, I went, that's me, that's my mic, that's it.
And you married to
I am happily ever after.
And then also make sure that you did you put a ring on it?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And a spider shock mount.
And a spider shock mount.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, I would say make sure you have a properly treated sound space.
Yes.
You can have the best mic and everything. If your stuff isn't treated properly, you're going to sound like trash. And you're going to have to get an audio engineer that can listen in to you to make sure that your noise floor is right.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. If you're looking to get into VO, those are the things you have to do. And don't cut corners with it.
No.
Great question. Another question is, did the pandemic hurt or help your brand?
Sadly, our business grew during the pandemic. And I say that with all due respect. There was a lot of suffering, and I am not happy at all, and I did not want to capitalize on that. However, there were so many people that were now stuck at home. There were so many people that were looking for information, looking to be entertained, listening for the news. They wanted an escape. And, just regular television, they still wanted to be connected to their communities. One of the things I was concerned that we were going to lose listenership over the FM because of commuting. No more commuting. No more commuting. No more listening in cars. No more listening in cars. Your numbers go down. Where we lost numbers on the over-the-air side, we gained numbers big time on the streaming side. We never lost that audience. They never went away. They just listened to us on a different device.
You made a really good point. Yeah, the pandemic made business exponentially better for voiceover because people did still want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it took a pandemic for business to take off for some people.
Sure.
But the pandemic did really boost a whole lot for people in our field. But I also look at it as a fact that people allow us to come into their homes and entertain them.
Yeah.
To take their mind off the daily grind. Someone could be having a really bad day, and it's our job to make sure that we put a smile on your face, to make you feel alive. So if I can do that, for a moment while you're playing a video game or while you're watching the animation, that means that I did my job, And so I think it also helped in a sense to where, people didn't have to travel to studios as much.
Yeah.
Businesses were able to save money, and people were still able to stay home and be safe and not spread this virus, or help spread this virus and still be able to provide a service to people.
Absolutely.
So it helped in that sense.
There was so much information, and so much information was changing and developing, and new information was coming in at such a rapid pace. So that was another angle and another end of why we were so busy. We needed to get the word out. We even about our advertisers.
Yeah.
Everything was closed. Well, now everything's open, but here's the way we're doing it. Well, now everything's open again, and the way we're doing it has changed. So we were working 10 times harder for the same client to get the word out because their message was changing every week, it seemed.
Yeah, we were readily available for those who needed it.
Absolutely.
Whether it was information or entertainment.
Nice.
We were there.
We were there.
Next question comes from Ontario. It says, what are the top 3 things that you do with your content?
The top 3 things that we do with our content.
I listen to it.
Are you talking about the things that we put out?
Yeah. Like 3 steps on what to do with your content.
Oh, 3 steps on what to do with the content.
All right.
One of the things that I do first is I listen to it, like he just said, because not every client, and I hate to put it this way, there's been some projects that I've really wanted to put out, but I couldn't because the quality of the content wasn't that great for me to put out and have my name attached to it. My brand is everything. My name is my name, as Marlo said in The Wire. So the first thing I do is I listen to it to make sure that, okay, is this what I want to put out? Is it going to represent my brand? Secondly, once I do, I want to make sure that I'm giving just due to my clients, like I said earlier. I want to make sure that my clients understand that you're important to me, your project's important to me, and I am grateful that you hired me to be the voice of your brand and your project. And then third, I make sure that I market myself along with it. And that's the 3 steps that I do, is I listen to my content to make sure that it represents my brand the way that I would like for it to represent. I give the client their just due and their respect, and then I market my brand. That's what I do.
And likewise, I listen to my content. I post my content and get it out there in my proprietary platforms, but then also share it on all the social media in an effort to get that out there. And then third, I look for feedback. I want people to comment on it. I want people to let us know, did this motivate you in some way? Did this motivate you to buy something? Did this motivate you to did it make you smile? Did you enjoy it? I kind of want to see that feedback so that, we know we're on the right track as far
feedback
as
matters.
What we're producing. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't say that. He said it. I wish I would have said
He said something close to that. What's next for you? What is a big project that you maybe haven't reached yet, but you would absolutely positively want to do?
So I am the face of a new game called Superfuse.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to be the face of a game. I did that in Starship Troopers. Which
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Starship Troopers.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so the new game came out, and I'm the face of that one also.
Nice.
My goal, Diablo 4. I don't know how many people are gamers here.
We got a couple.
Diablo 4 is a game that I really want to be on. So I'm working right now because there are people within Activision Blizzard that I am talking to and dealing with.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a lot to go through.
Okay.
I would like to be in Diablo 4.
Okay.
That's my goal, is to be in that title. Superfuse is an ARPG, just like it.
Nice.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
I want to do Diablo.
All right. Very cool.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Studio audience.
All right. Question from the studio audience. Go.
What is the thing that you would tell a young actor that you didn't realize when you were just starting and you thought, man, I wish somebody had told me that? And same for you, Mike, on the broadcast side.
Eli?
I wish somebody told me how hard it was, because we look at things and we see the finished product. We never see the work and the grind that it takes to actually get to it. So I would say, for me, I wish someone told me, be prepared for the rejection, be prepared to work your tail off for this, because it ain't easy. There's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of stuff that you have to go through just to get any type of recognition. I started off when I did film and television, I did extra work. And a lot of people will laugh at stuff like that. But, Leonardo DiCaprio did extra work. Samuel L. Jackson was an extra. There were Lawrence Fishburne, there were a lot of people who were extras before they blew up.
Yeah.
So I started off doing extra work. It humbled me. It gave me a greater appreciation for the business. And the thing is that even in doing something like that, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you make the right connections, someone's going to notice. And I was fortunate to where I was brought on the project for an extra. They bumped me up to where I had dialogue, and I booked my union card off of it.
Nice.
So be prepared for the grind. Be appreciative. Don't look down on stuff like extra work or anything like that. That's what gets you in the door. So I wish someone told me how hard it was.
Likewise, I saw a lot of rejection at first, but I was young. I was so young when I was knocking on doors. I was not even out of high school yet, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I kind of wish somebody would have said, dude, you'll do this, but you're also going to do a whole bunch of other things, and be prepared to sell cars for a year in Newport News, Virginia, while you're working 4 hours a week at the radio station in Virginia Beach. Be prepared to carry all the remote gear and get it set up for the air personality that's going to come in 2 seconds before he goes on the air, grab the mic and say, "Hi everybody, it's so-and-so, and I'm broadcasting live from such and such." And you were the guy that came in, lugged all the gear, set it up, got everything coordinated with the engineer back in the studio, and made it happen. Be prepared to do a lot of stuff that you might not have necessarily thought you would have to do. Very similar.
And you know what? And there is no shame in that.
No,
because there was
there
was a point in my career where I stopped booking roles and I had to work for DirecTV. And these are things that I don't talk about to a lot of people because I keep my family life and my private life to myself. So when people see my social media, there's never anything personal on there. It's all work. But yeah, there were points where I hit lows where I wasn't booking anything. I had a wife and kids I had to take care of.
Got to make money.
So I had to humble myself and get a job. And the irony in that is because of what I went through as a subcontractor, I ended up making a movie and won an award for it based on my experience because we got shafted out of our money.
Wow.
So the movie was called Henry, and we won awards for it because I went through that.
And you use that experience to build on your career.
Yeah.
We got another question.
All right.
And that is, this is from KJ. It says, what do you do to get your voice ready to record?
Let's go with you.
Want me to go first?
Oh yeah. I've had this voice since I was 5 years old. I am uniquely qualified to do one. Yeah, uniquely qualified to do one thing and one thing only. It was, Mommy, may I have some juice, please?
It varies, to be honest with you. If I'm doing something that I know is going to take me a long time, I try to make sure that I just don't talk that much prior to the session. I stay hydrated with water. You can eat an apple, watermelon, any type of fruit that keeps you hydrated. I do mouth exercises. You know, there's certain words that I'll say to prepare my tongue to loosen up. So that's what I do as far as preparing my voice.
Unique New York.
Peter Piper, Picker, Picker, Pepper. You know, things like that. Yeah, like you.
Unique.
Yes, you do things like that to loosen up the tongue. Loosen up the jaw. Like, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and do all that. But there are things that I do within the confines of my booth that may look a little weird here if I do it.
What is that? Corn? Sorry. Just kidding. It's corn.
And try. And the other thing too is when you are doing your vocal work, do it from your stomach. It's a lot like singing because a lot of people will do it straight from their throat and you will stress your vocals out.
Yep.
Learn how to do it from the stomach and proper breathing exercises. Yes. That's what I do to prepare.
Lots of coffee.
Coffee?
Lots of coffee. Yeah.
Really?
I do two big cups of coffee in the morning.
Lemon water for me.
Yeah. Water, definitely water. I start off, I'm not joking. I start off with a big tall glass of water. That's first thing in the morning. And then throughout the entire show, I've got this great big huge Yeti full of coffee. And I mean, it works for me. And then, you know, afterwards, I don't really drink anything else, well, maybe except beer, later in the day.
Much later. Not on air.
Right after the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do.
Do you?
Yeah. The Friday beer show, I mean, you kind of...
You get lit with other people.
You sample.
Yeah.
It's just
Still
sampling.
only getting a taste.
Yeah, it's just sampling.
You're not hurting nobody.
Yeah.
You're not behind the wheel.
You're
or
in the
nothing.
studio.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they gave it to us. So.
Can't say no. It'll be rude. It'll be disrespectful.
It would be disrespectful, wouldn't it?
I'd be disrespected.
Smoking is not good for voice. I mean, it will wreck your vocal cords if you don't, and vaping too. That will wreck your vocal cords. If you can avoid it, if you can quit it, do. If you can't, drink lots of water.
Yeah.
And lozenges.
We use, and I can never pronounce the name right. It is a Chinese supplement. It tastes god awful, but it is like a miracle for throats.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll have to shoot the name to you.
Okay.
But it's like a magic healer for your throat.
Yeah.
We have another one that is, do you ever try to copy movie trailers?
I did initially.
In a world where? Sorry.
In a world where.
Oh, yeah, he did so much better.
Initially, yes, because that's how I thought it was supposed to be. And again, that's what I was told. Bring Eli Harris. So there is a certain style of voice they use for trailers, But the thing that I'm finding more so now than what it used to be is that they've moved more from the Don LaFontaine type sound into the more everyday person sound. You know, and I couldn't figure it out at first because when I first got into this, I reached out to a gentleman named Dave Fenoy, who has been an award-winning voice actor in games for decades. And I remember hearing the AT&T commercial and thinking, wow, this sounds kind of bland. It's not what I'm used to. And it was, Lena Waithe doing it. And he told me, if that's what you're hearing, that's the sound they want now. So again, I was trying to emulate what I had heard before, but now the industry is more like, we want real. We want what you sound like, how you would sound saying these things. So initially, yes, but I got out of that. And it took a lot of practice and a change of mindset to get out of that, because we're so conditioned to think a certain way. Like once we have a perception in our heads, that's what we run with. And so it takes work to get out of that.
I have to.
But I do practice. I still practice.
Oh,
I still practice. Like I'll still watch shows, I'll still watch trailers, and I will still practice certain things, and I'll add it to my repertoire.
I have to elaborate on this a little bit. Speaking about emulating other people or emulating a certain type, maybe, for me, you said Don who?
Don LaFontaine.
Mine was Don Pardo. But in the mid 1990s, I had the fortune of replacing Sir Patrick Stewart,
really,
as the voice of a local telephone company in their audio campaign. And it was, now Sir Patrick Stewart was unavailable to record ads, and they needed copy change very, very quickly. So
I can see it with you. You got that. You like it?
Yeah, it's receiving.
You got the hair though.
Yeah, well,
I have hair. With hair.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So they needed copy change quick, and I could do quick. And I happened to be at the station that got the order that was going to send the revision out to all the other stations. They tasked me with recording this new ad, which I did expertly. The company then canceled Sir Patrick Stewart as the voice,
and kept you.
I was the voice of
Does
that
he
company.
Know this?
He has no clue who I am. that man, I admire Sir Patrick Stewart so much, to the point where he is entitled to Sir. I love that man, but he doesn't know who I am, and he probably didn't even remember voicing that ad.
That's crazy.
But it was incredible. That was one of my little high points.
I want to add something real quick, because you touched on something, and it made me think of something I should have said earlier with the question that was asked.
Okay.
Know your value. I don't know how it works on your side.
Yeah.
Know your value and get your worth. Make sure that you don't let people lowball you and undercut you, for the sake of looking out for me, or, such and such did it this cheap. Okay, well, if you want that person's service, let them do that.
Yeah.
This is what I charge.
Correct.
Make sure that you're getting your value, because especially now in my side of the business, I don't know how it is for you.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are coming into it thinking they could do VO that the rates to some extent is getting cut a little bit, because there are people who are willing to do it for pennies on the dollar. Stand firm, know your value, and get your worth.
That's right.
And I've turned down projects. I have turned down projects that would not offer me what I knew I was worth. And then I've had some come back and say, okay, we'll pay you.
For us, it's very inventory driven. So we make our money. I make my money with commercial inventory, running commercials on our platform. And so for me, to hire me to do something, I'm X amount of dollars per hour. That's it, flat rate. But we have our inventory, and we can calculate very, very quickly, this is how much inventory we run. We're not going to run 24 hours of commercials. We run X amount of commercials. That's what we know holds the audience longer. We have X amount of hours, X amount of days, X amount of month, X amount of years. This is how much commercial inventory we have. This is how much we need to make. This is how much we want to make. So then we reverse engineer it, and we price our inventory accordingly. And that's the rate. We actually have a rate structure where if we're 0 to 50% sold out, we're at the bottom of the card. You can get us a lot cheaper or less expensive. Cheap is a bad word. Then we go up to another
More
level.
Budget friendly is what we're looking for.
Yeah, budget
friendly.
51% to 70%, we're another level. 71% to 90%, we're a much higher level. And when we're above 90%, we're top of the card. And we have turned down business when we're at top of the card because we can't afford, it's supply and demand. We just can't afford to give it away.
And essentially what we're saying is that you're paying for experience. You know, when I do a job and I'm called a one-hit wonder for a reason, and I know people look at one-hit wonders like, oh, he does something, don't do anything else. No, I'm one-hit wonder because when I get into a booth and I get into my session with my client, it takes me generally 1, maybe 2 takes at the most.
Yeah.
And they're so astounded because they don't know what to do the rest of my session time. When I did all that stuff for Icy Hot, I kid you not, I did all 4 of my scripts without having to do any retakes. And the session was booked for an hour and I was done 20, 25 minutes. They literally made up stuff for me to do they could get their money's worth for the hour.
Were there any comedy outtakes? I want to see
but
them.
It wasn't recorded. So they would really have me read stuff in a funny way that I knew they weren't going to use it.
Oh no, they're using it somewhere.
Maybe for their personal entertainment, but clients love it when you say the money. Time is money for clients. And so when he's charging what he charges, I'm charging what I charge, it's because we know what we're doing. We're saving you time and money and giving you an excellent product on the top of it.
And for us too, we have an exclusive audience. Our clients are paying to reach an exclusive audience. If you want to spend your money elsewhere, you'll get their audience. You won't get my audience. So if you want that, if that's valuable to you, if you want the people that listen and watch my products, then this is what it would cost. And people get that. And they also
people that value business and value things will get it.
And they also really appreciate how you go above and beyond for their brand.
Yes. And they stay faithful clients. Yeah. And they'll stay faithful clients. When I record stuff for people, sometimes I'll do 2, 3, 4 takes just so they can. I did that for Disney last week. I gave them so many options, they had a hard time just picking. And they were so thankful for it. They were super grateful for it.
They made a movie with one guy's voice. I'm just kidding.
It got to the point where they just called me the voice last week. So I have been working with Disney since last year. And it's because I go above and beyond, just like you said, that they keep working with me.
Nice.
If you go above and beyond for your clients and show them that you appreciate it, they will stay with you. And they'll have no problem paying you what you want.
I want to work for Disney.
We're almost out of
Hire
time.
me.
Are there any voices or ads you are not willing to do?
Yes. I'll let you go first if you want to.
I will not do any 1-900 work. That will not happen. Now, I will, for most brands and most businesses, it's pretty straightforward. I don't do political ads. I don't consult political campaigns. I'm not a political guy. And I'm not necessarily interested in lending my brand and my voice to any one particular candidate or any one particular party. That's one thing that I just don't do. And I don't talk politics on the air necessarily. I am equal opportunity and I will make fun of everybody. But I don't. That's not the kind of show I do. And it's an entertainment show. It's there to make you laugh. And to inform you and to maybe give you a little insight and some wisdom. And I'm
not
there
to start a riot.
Yeah, and I'm there to pitch products too.
Yeah.
And everybody knows. I mean, everybody that's ever listened or watched any of my products, they know that I'm really all about the community and all about love and just I have a lot of respect for everyone and I have no interest in voicing any kind of political content whatsoever. So that's just me.
And for me, I don't voice.
Or 1-900s.
Well, yeah, I won't do anything that is explicit at all.
Mike.
Regardless of how my voice is, I don't do that. I won't do anything that has excessive vulgarities. That I don't mind a couple of D words or whatever, but I've had people send scripts to me that was just laced with profanity.
Wow.
I won't do projects like that.
Good.
I don't do a lot of religious stuff either. I try to stay in the middle of the road when it comes to that work. There's some things that I may do depending on what the event is, but for the most part, I don't do that. I think that's about, and I won't represent any community that I'm not a part of. You'll have some voice artists that will attempt to do certain accents, or, I remember I got an audition for Pride Month, and I turned it down because I'm not part of that community, and I would feel that I wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah.
I would not be able to pull off something like that. So when I got that and I said, look, send that to somebody that represents that community, because if I try to do something like that, to me, I'm disrespecting that community, and I don't want to disrespect anybody. So if it's stuff that doesn't represent what I'm about, I won't do it, because I don't want to offend or almost make a mockery of someone else's beliefs or where they stand with things. So I'll turn down work like that too.
One thing that I will turn down as well is if I endorse a product, it's got to be a product that I actually like and use, not just because somebody cut me a check. I'll agree to endorse something way before we've ever talked about advertising or marketing or dollars. If it's a particular, anything from food to any kind of a product, if I don't like it, if I think it's horrible, I can't be the voice of that product at all.
That's because you're genuine, and people can tell if you're not genuine, which is, like I said, why I turn down certain things too.
I do these things called microfomercials, and they're me just talking from the heart about a particular product. And there were a lot of great radio personalities that would submarine you with a commercial message, and I wasn't really emulating them, but I kind of learned their style a little bit about, talking about how I went to lunch, and this was the first time I had ever been in this restaurant, and I walked up to the counter, and the deli case was not a prop, it was real, and all the products inside, and I watched them carve everything fresh and make my sandwich, and I sat down, and this was literally one of the best sandwiches I ever had. And then I mentioned the business name, and I had people just sitting there listening to me describing this particular restaurant, but it was real. It was a real experience that happened to me. It wasn't a script. I was completely off script, and just winging it. That sold more product for that restaurant, just me talking about my experience, than any commercial campaign that we could have ever run.
And that's the interesting thing that I see in our business that has changed so much from what it was before, is that now everything is really geared towards realism, being genuine, raw, saying and doing things that are genuine as opposed to being polished. You have no idea how many projects I'll get that come across to say, we don't want polished.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great direction that our industry is in now, is genuineness, and that's probably why that product sold so much, because you were genuine.
Think about this, and I don't know if you watched Howard Stern's movie, the first one,
Private Parts.
Yeah. And there was a one scene where he lost the copy. It wasn't in the binder. It fell on the floor. And he just winged it. And that was the moment that he realized that he was a better personality being real. And I think that's the industry evolved that way. It went from these slick disc jockeys with, reading cards and cue cards and liner cards and saying the front sell and the back sell and doing all the things that they were supposed to do, to guys just sitting around talking.
And that changed a lot too, as far as what I do. Like when I did what I did with Superfuse, I was allowed to ad-lib and improv the way that I would actually say things. So when you see this character in a game, it's me. Like, the character looks like me, first of all, even though he's a whole lot bigger than I am. But the dialogue, it's authentic because it's me.
Okay.
And the reviews on it at GDC and everything was great because people felt connected to the game.
Wow.
Final question. One sentence to sum up your brand this far.
Eli?
You can go first.
One sentence. This is pressure. our brand, my brand or our brand? Well, we need to wrap it up. So I'll just make it quick. What we do is we take local global. We're on a global platform now. Anybody that's doing streaming, anybody that's on social media, you're on a global platform. So take local global, take your brand global. Consider that you are a business. If this is something you want to do for a business, for a living, and make this your profession and your career, take it seriously from the beginning. And this is your career. Make it your career. I know that's longer than that was. Yeah, I know.
But that's okay. I like it.
There was several sentences.
Yes.
Pick one.
Pick one. Mine says, I am the image maker. My voice breathes life into your vision.
That was so much better. Dang it.
Thank you both.
Absolutely. Eli, thank you so much.
Hey, man, it was great talking to you.
So wonderful talking with you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.